Hello and welcome to the 90MinuteCynic podcast. I'm your host Chris Gallagher and I'm joined by Ciaran Harran.
Good evening.
And Chris Sermanni.
Good evening.
Great stuff. How are we doing, guys? Good?
Yes.
Not too bad. Thank you for asking, Christopher.
How's your tea? Delicious as always?
It is fantastic. You have the gift when it comes to making tea, Chris.
The gift of tea. Something I've always wanted to be known for. Just let's fire right into it. Celtic, 2 games the past week. Partick Thistle at home in the League Cup on Wednesday, wasn't it? And St Inverness on Saturday. League Cup and League. Ciaran, you were at both games. Give me your kind of brief overview of both of them. Let's start with the League Cup game.
The League Cup game was actually quite an enjoyable game. There was a lot of, obviously a lot of goals involved, but there was actually quite a few goals that were well worked throughout the team. There was a lot of kind of good passing and good movement. It possibly could have helped the fact that they went down to 10 men. But there was 10 men against Kilmarnock. We didn't really kind of do well against that in that game. But it was actually quite good to see that. But it kind of went away come Saturday with the Inverness game. I didn't think we kind of kicked on or kept that kind of high momentum. But again, it was Inverness, as most teams now with Parkhead. I think we're going to be talking about this week on week. Just coming in and sitting in.
Yeah.
Sitting in with 10 men behind the ball.
They absolutely did. I was also at the Partick Thistle game. I think you're right about the sending off being key in terms of how the game progressed. What did you think of it, Chris? Did you get to see the Thistle game?
Didn't get to see the Thistle game, no, but I got to see the highlights, and from what I read, the opening exchanges were fairly tight. Celtic obviously had the better of them, but the Thistle weren't all over the place at the start, but then we got the goal and the sending off and things changed. Celtic gained more confidence and they put together a lot of nice moves, as Ciaran said. The really pleasing thing about it for me was Guidetti's hat-trick. The 2 free kicks and a penalty. The second free kick I thought was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a keeper that would have managed to save that. It was exquisitely executed, and he's just starting to look the part now, and it's really, really encouraging. The other thing as well, against Thistle, Wakoso, I think he was playing, wasn't he?
He came on, didn't he? Or did he start? I'll find out.
He came on for the Thistle game because he started on Saturday.
That's right.
McGregor started Wednesday and he got dropped for Saturday.
That's right. I think he was quite, again, I wasn't there, but from what I've been told, he was quite promising, and it was good to kind of see him get involved and stuff like that. Overall, the League Cup result was fantastic. Even though they were down to 10 men, Thistle, you can only beat what's in front of you, and we've complained about us not being clinical, so I've got absolutely no complaints with the performance overall.
I was still kind of sticking with the Partick Thistle game. Your man came on, Griffiths came on, and he scored 5 goals. He scored 2 goals in the space of about 6 or 7 minutes. How impressed were you with him, Ciaran?
Yeah, it was good. You couldn't say he was actively right into the game, because one goal was a deflection off the keeper's kick out.
But he actually, chased the keeper down.
Yeah, chased the keeper down. His first goal was actually one of the 6 goals. It was a kind of good team goal where there was a lot of passing, there was movement, and the ball was put into the back post, I think, and he got the header. But he's a good player, and the fans do seem to take to him, because that's him now. Come on, the last 3 games he's come on as a sub, and he's been getting bigger cheers than most of the players coming off.
Yeah.
So the fans do appreciate Griffiths, but they want to see more of him.
Chris, on Saturday with the Inverness game, that obviously finishing Celtic victory, we saw Griffiths come in ahead of Skepovic for that game, both starting on the bench. Is Griffiths overtaking Skepovic, or is that just a tactical decision in terms of how the game was laid out? It seems because Skepovic, he's in and out of the team. Griffiths hasn't had a real chance, to be fair, but Skepovic, he's not scoring.
he got him, and obviously he's got a couple Skepovic in recent weeks. I just think I get the impression Diarra's seen things in training and rewarding players for that, because he's publicly said in the past, you need to put in more effort, this, that and the next thing, and I can only surmise that Griffith's got his head down in training, and he's been given a chance, because it wasn't that long ago we were talking about how far out the senior was, and there was rumours of him going to Hibs, and nobody really cared. At this point now, I'd be happy for him to stay, because he's starting to play more of a role. Got a couple midweek, and we all know that he can finish if his head's screwed on. So that would be my best guess, because he's kind of rewarding him for something that he's seen in training. Because Skepovic, I don't think Diarra's looked at him and thought, you're a do, and I've made a mistake here or anything like that. I think he's just the type of guy that will give different players a chance, and Griffiths has been getting the nod in the last couple of games. I just think that could change, obviously.
Yeah. Just to kind of summarise the Thistle game, what I thought was we just needed something to really... And it seems to be the same with every game. We just need something to almost kick us on, to give us the belief that we're going to win. And as soon as there's any sort of turning point, whether it be a goal or whether it be a sending off or something, there's just a change in attitude, and we just kind of go for it. But Celtic played some really interesting one-touch stuff against Partick Thistle, and obviously they were down to 10 men, but it was starting to happen just before that. When we got that goal, we started to play a bit better, and I don't know, it's like they need to be kicked up the arse kind of thing. They need something that clicks, whether it, as I see, some sort of instant, and then we see a different Celtic. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. I don't think we've had a podcast since the Astra game, have we?
We haven't, no.
No. That was an even better example of that. We were nervous. We huffed and puffed. We missed a few chances. Skepovic gets the header. We come alive. We take control of that game. Johansson gets a fantastic second. We look like a really positive team. We're in control of the game. As I say, the Skepovic's header kind of, lit that fire. 2 minutes later, they get that
stupid goal.
We just shat ourselves again, all over the place. And it was like two different teams. And it's almost like, one, we need something to spark us into life, and two, the confidence is that fragile that something like that can be the difference between winning and losing, or whatever, drawing a game.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really apparent that night.
Yeah.
I just hope we can get on top of that,
Yeah, it's something that needs to be addressed. The Thistle game, the Inverness Caledonia Thistle game, I thought Celtic played some really good stuff. Again, it was down to just not taking our chances. But again, as soon as Guidetti took that chance and scored that terrific goal, there was a period of about 10 or 15 minutes where we were, again, some really good stuff. But the longer we huffed and the longer we puffed, it's like they started to realise, shit, if we don't score here, we could get really hit in the counter. And then there was that kind of last 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes, where, like you say, Chris, we're talking about the Asher game, kind of shat it a wee bit. We were really scared in possession, and no one really wanted to take the ball. And, that's where someone, I think, like Scott Brown, should be really standing up and being taken notice. Not that he's not playing well. Scott Brown does have a lot of qualities, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Ciaran?
Well, I was actually going to try to get in ahead of you there and say that, when similar to the Astra, where if the team starts putting a bit of pressure on us, we do seem to, like you say, shite it, and all of a sudden become kind of scared and start making stupid schoolboy errors, and inviting the team back into it. Because I think it took about two or three really good saves from Zaluska to kind of keep it at 1-0, but once again, we're still scraping 1-0, and we should be taking, making the scoreline bigger and taking more of our chances. But it is, once again, not being clinical enough. But we can be clinical in a couple of games, because you look at the County game, Ross County, you look at the Thistle, where we were clinical and we took more of our chances and scored goals. But yet you can look at other games, we've probably got the same amount of chances, but we just don't take them. So I just don't know if it's down to luck, or whether it's just on that day it's not going to be us, but there's too many days for us where it's just not happening when we're being less clinical.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, Chris, like, Guidetti's really starting to look the part. he's become our main goal scoring threat. He's became the sort of talisman for the team, if you will. Mm-hmm. Is that there's been a lot of talk about Chris Commons and whether he's going to get a new deal, whether he's going to go to Bolton or not. Do we need Commons? Have we played the last maybe 4 or 5 games where we've played really, really well? Do we need Are we missing Commons? Is the question I'll ask you.
No. Well, I don't think we are in terms of our general play. I think earlier in the season, I think the problem for us was that although Commons at times wasn't affecting the game, wasn't contributing too much other than his goals, like last season and this season, he was generally the man that stepped up with the all-important goal in certain games. We've got somebody who's doing that now. Commons, as we say, can do that, but again, largely wasn't affecting the play. I'd rather have Guidetti in front of Commons in my side. Obviously, they're both going to get important goals, but I feel Commons doesn't contribute enough overall. Don't get me wrong, sometimes he does, sometimes he's terrific, he's fantastic, but other times he's a man short. Then he scores the important goal and you can't really deny him, but overall, no, I don't think we miss him.
Ciaran, thoughts on that, Commons?
I think we do miss him sometimes. I think the unfortunate thing I've noticed over the last this season anyway, that games when Collins has been kind of poor and you've not seen much of him, it's actually more been down to the opposition. They've actually basically marked him out of the game, because they have noticed from obviously last season that Collins has been the main man for us. So if you just get on top of him, the minute he's got the ball, you just get in his face and just don't give him the chance to release the ball, he then just kind of floats out the game now.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that.
Another point you raised a moment ago, McGregor again not really having too much of an impact. Obviously in the Thistle game, Diarra keeps putting him back in the team, and that is commendable. And young players are going to go through the pips and troughs in terms of their development and how they play. But should he be given an extended sort of period on the sidelines maybe, because he's coming in and he's not really doing anything? Well, that's my opinion. Maybe you see it differently.
Beginning of the season, he was good. And we've obviously seen him in Europe. He helped us a lot in Europe with his goals. And start of the season, I actually thought he had a rest a month to 6-8 weeks ago, where he had a week or two's rest. And I think since that, and he's come back, his confidence has went down. He seems to be hiding a lot of games as well, which he shouldn't be, because he's a talented kid. His style of play is going to be almost similar to Forrest, where he has to try and take the fullback on and get past him. But a lot of times, especially in the Astra game, I noticed he was always kind of like side on with Lustig and not ahead of Lustig.
Yeah.
So he was always wanting to kind of play and come inside.
Yeah, he always seems to want to come inside.
But we've now got Guidetti, who's a big target man. I think we should now start focusing a lot more on getting to the byline and crossing it in now, especially now if Commons is missing, because there's not really that spark in the middle of the field anymore. Because Johansson's more of a aggressive box-to-box player. He's not a kind of flamboyant attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
So he can't kind of play all these nice wee passes through the middle. So I think it's a stage now, especially if he sometimes goes with a 2, because he did the 2. Was it this one game he did? Skefovic and Guidetti?
Yeah, that's right.
We went to 2. So with the 2 and the 2 big boys, then we should be starting to get our wingers more to the byline and kind of crossing them in. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, we've talked about it. Well, there's no point us really talking about it. We've talked about it. What we think of the boy. Talented, but just not being as effective as he should. If we drop him even further, it could dent his confidence to the point of it might actually start to affect him pretty badly. But what can you do? So the 2 games played pretty well. I mean, there were good victories. I think a lot of people have such a low opinion of Scottish football that they just think we should wipe a team like Inverness on the floor. But they're a good team and they played some good football. I watched the game on Saturday and it was good. It was a good standard. I thought both teams wanted it, and sometimes you got to just say, we won. It was a narrow victory in terms of scoreline, but it was a well kind of competitive game. And maybe we don't give ourselves in terms of our league enough credit.
But we've never scalped Inverness in the past. I don't really know why people would be starting to have that kind of overconfident attitude towards teams like Inverness. Whenever you got to Inverness, it's a fucking really hard game.
Yeah.
Even County Parkhead, they've left us with points many a time, so they have. So